Hello everyone, today we are going to take a look at the books for first year BVSc. Okay, so first we have to know what are the subjects in first year BVSc. So in the first year of your vet school, you will have three subjects: anatomy, vet physiology, and LPM, that is livestock production and management. Okay, the anatomy is further divided into three parts. So we have gross anatomy, then histology, and then embryology. So let us take a look at the number of books that are available to us in each of these subjects. So first let us talk about gross anatomy. Okay, so in the gross anatomy, the book that was used in our college was R.K. Ghosh. Okay, R.K. Ghosh is a very basic anatomy book that you can find at any offline store, or you can even find it in through the online stores. Okay, so this is the 7th edition of Primary Veterinary Anatomy, Systemic and Regional by R.K. Ghosh. This is the book that everybody uses in our college, but I personally think that it is lacking in some aspects. Okay, and we'll come to this later. First, let us also talk about some other names that I've written here. So Dice, Koenig, and Sisson. Now Sisson is the book that I used. It is just like R.K. Ghosh. Okay, and Dice and Koenig, they're also really nice books for gross veterinary anatomy. One thing that you have to note, that Dice is mostly regional, while Koenig has a mixture of regional plus comparative, while Sisson is completely comparative, or you can say that it is really nice comparative anatomy, while R.K. Ghosh also focuses more on the comparative anatomy. So what is regional anatomy and what is comparative anatomy? So comparative anatomy means, see, I am saying compare between the ox of scapula of the ox versus horse versus dog. So this is comparative anatomy. Okay, so in veterinary medicine we have to study a lot of animals, and of course it is not possible to study all the animals, so we usually take one animal to represent a certain group. For example, for ruminants we usually talk about cattle. For non-ruminant herbivores we usually talk about horse and pig. For carnivores, especially the companion animals, we take an example of dog. For lab animal, we can take an example of rabbit, and for birds, the avian portion of the veterinary medicine, we can take an example of chicken. Okay, so these were the 5 or 6 animals that were taught in our college. Okay, so this is comparative anatomy. You are comparing between different species. Okay, so what is given in R.K. Ghosh? See, this is the book, and let us come to this page. Okay, so this is radius and ulna. Okay, they are the bones of the forearm region, and here you can see that we have radius and ulna of dog, of a horse, and of ox. Okay, so this is comparative anatomy. Here you can see radius of horse like this. These are all the comparative points which are differentiating points between these species. Now what is regional anatomy then? Regional anatomy is what most medical students learn. Okay, now we have to learn regional anatomy as well, because regional anatomy basically means, so if you are talking about forearm, then all the things of the forearm region. Okay, while comparative anatomy talks about comparison between certain species, and they're also mostly systemic. Okay, so what is systemic anatomy? Systemic anatomy means studying anatomy within each system. So like if I'm talking about cardiovascular system, so cardiovascular system is that restriction that you have put on your study. So I'll only study about the cardiovascular system of different regions of the body. Okay, while in regional anatomy you don't talk about a certain system, you talk about a certain region. For example, you are studying the anatomy of thorax. Okay, so these are just different ways of learning anatomy. They are not exclusive to each other. They are the same thing. Okay, it doesn't matter if you are learning from a systemic point of view or from a regional point of view. It doesn't matter. Okay, the only thing that differs is that way of learning. So whatever you find easy, you can do, but focus on this comparative, because we have to study a lot of species. Okay, now one problem with R.K. Ghosh, which I said earlier, that I don't think that R.K. Ghosh is the best book, is because of this comparison. So see, here we have a picture of tibia, right? This topic is tibia. So in tibia, you cannot find very good pictures, very good labeled pictures, especially of different species. So here they have given a photo of tibia of horse, but they have not labeled anything. And there is no picture of tibia of pig, rabbit and chicken. Okay. So this is the problem with this book. Why I use Sisson? Because first of all, the matter is more in-depth as compared to Ghosh. Second thing, that a lot of diagrams are given. Okay, and except for the poultry species like chicken, all the other are covered. Okay, so you will have goat, sheep, ox, horse, pig and dog. Okay, these are covered. Only the poultry portion is not given in the Sisson. And Dice and Koenig, these two books are also very nice. Okay, so you can use any book that you like, but I used Sisson and Grossman. Okay, so this is one book, Sisson and Grossman. Now for histology, I'll suggest that first take a look at any veterinary histology atlas that is given in your histology lab. Okay, so in your histology lab, atlas will be present there, and you can just take a look at that atlas. And what is atlas? It is just a collection of pictures. Okay, so in histology we study about microscopic structures. That is why it is also called as microanatomy. Okay, so this is all about memorizing the pictures. Okay, you have to learn to identify all those cells and tissues. Okay, that is why first thing that you have to do is to take a look at the atlas, take the picture, look at that structure in the microscope, take a picture and remember it. This is the best way to learn histology. Practice and practice. Okay, but one book is given here which was suggested by our professors, that is Delman, Veterinary Histology by Delman, and you can definitely use it. It is very nice book. After you have looked at the veterinary atlas, then come to Delman, so you can understand what this book is talking about. Okay, now the third portion of the veterinary anatomy is veterinary embryology. Okay, we also call it developmental anatomy, and I use this one book, Veterinary Embryology by McGeady and Quinn. Okay, so I don't have a physical copy of this book, I only have a PDF, so I cannot show you the book here. Okay, now in physiology I used again, I don't have a physical copy of the Duke's Physiology, but Duke's Physiology is really nice book. You will love it. Other books are Cunningham, Clinical Veterinary Physiology by Cunningham, and then there's also Sambulingam, that is Essentials of Medical Physiology by K. Sambulingam and Prima Sambulingam. So I have this book here, but it is a very basic book. You can say that this is mostly exam based. Okay, but for gaining knowledge, especially about veterinary science, then you have to refer to Duke's Physiology. Okay, because this Sambulingam is for medical students, and you can read it. Most of the students in our college use this book, but a lot of things are absent in this book. For example, you cannot find ruminant physiology or avian physiology, which are very important topics. So you cannot find them in Sambulingam. Also, the matter is very short and sweet, so some people like it, but for me I think that it is less than that is required. Then we also have Veterinary Physiology by Vasudev Bhattacharya. I don't have that book, but you can refer to it. Then LPM. Now for LPM, I'll suggest that refer to whatever your teachers say and also refer to your teacher's notes. Okay, why? Because LPM is a region dependent subject. Okay, it varies with the region that you live in. Okay, all the breeds and the feeding techniques, managemental practices, they vary between region. So first of all, listen to your professors what they're talking. Now, for the books, I use this thing, Shastri and Thomas, Livestock Production and Management. Okay, this book is very nice. You can use it for LPM. Just what you have to do, that listen to your teachers and mark whatever is important in your region. Okay, so this is a very general book, applicable to all the regions. Okay, and you can use this. There's also Livestock Production Management by GC Banerjee, and I also use this Jadhav for the poultry part. Now this book has poultry part. You can see in the content here we have poultry part, but I also have this Handbook of Poultry Production and Management. This is also a very nice book, has really easy to understand language, and I think that you will love it. I didn't bought this book. Okay, I got it from someone else, so I only invested in this actually. So this is all for the books. Now if you don't want to buy any books, you can borrow from someone else, your seniors or your friends, or you can take it from the library, or you can get them in the form of PDF. For example, Dukes, Vet Embryology by McGeady. All these books I only have in soft copy form. Okay, I don't have a hard copy of these books, but still they were enough for me. So you can do that. They are also available online. So if you want, you can do that as well. And if you want to refer to some online resources, then you can also look at e-learning and Tanuvas. Okay, these are some good sites. And this is all for this video. I hope you like the video. Please like, share and subscribe.